Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear viewers, Assalamu alaikum. I am your host Faisal Raza Khan and you are watching Foresight. Viewers, Pakistan cloaked in smoke, right from Lahore to Peshawar and from Islamabad to Multan. Even Lahore and Multan categorized as the world's most polluted cities. And that is happening right at the juncture when whole of the world gathered for United Nations Climate Change Conference COP29 in Baku, Azerbaijan. Smoke is an amalgamation of the gaseous emissions, air pollutants, dust particles, and obviously the moisture. Primarily because of the industries and the vehicular emissions, along with the burning of crops and all kind of wastes, the dust, and all other pollutants. And what's happening in Punjab alone, that at least 19.6 millions of the vehicles are there in Punjab. There are approximately 70,000 of the industrial units. These are the big and the small units included. Then, unfortunately, Pakistan is witnessing at least 27,000 hectares of the forest cut every year. It is really a dangerous situation because the effects are straight away on the human and the animal health. The environment is degraded. The crop yield and fruit production is getting decline. Accidents and delayed flight operations, and because of lots of vacations and holidays, unfortunately, the economy is suffering and it is going on decline as well. Now, I can share here the statistics of the World Bank. World Bank says that the air pollution costs Pakistan at least 6.5% losses to the GDP, and that is a cumulatively $47 billion. This is not a small amount. And yet there is a share of at least 0.9% to the GDP of the healthcare decline. And when we are going through the World Health Organization report, that it is estimated that across South Asia, 7 million people die every year because of the air pollution. And in Pakistan, at least 128,000 people lost their lives per annum because of the air pollution. And most important is, the victims are our children, our future. From at least 1 out of 10 Pakistani children under the age of 5 are the victims of the air pollution. To discuss this very grave issue, we have in our studios Dr. IMRAN SAQIB KHALID. He is the environmental scientist. Most welcome to you, Dr. IMRAN. Thank you very much for your presence. And online joining us, Professor Dr. Mohammed FAHEEM KHOKAR. He is the senior environmentalist. Most welcome to you. Thank you very much for sparing time, Dr. FAHEEM. So nice of you. My first question to you, Dr. IMRAN, that what about Pakistan's air quality expert letter to the Prime Minister of Pakistan, Shehbaz Sharif, and urged the government to take immediate steps to tackle the hazardous pollution calamity, choking the parts of the country, especially Punjab and Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, and recommended some of the recommendations I have here, that shutting down the brick kilns, heavy vehicles from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m., industries that violates environmental standards, and accumulatively that can reduce 45% of the pollution. So how you describe overall and what meant to write this letter to the Prime Minister actually?
Thank you so much for having me here. So the problem of air pollution in Pakistan has been going on for well over a decade.
Yes.
And although Lahore is the focus normally in this discussion, we know for a fact that air pollution affects Pakistan 24/7, that is on a daily basis throughout
and
the
across
year.
the country.
And across the country.
Yes.
So even in Karachi, where the air quality index is somewhat better, it's still not healthy enough. You know, it is still at a level whereby people who've got heart disease, who already have some other kind of ailments, they are very, very vulnerable. And so deaths due to air pollution are occurring across Pakistan. The children across Pakistan are vulnerable. In some places they are more vulnerable than others, but this is a collective problem, and it needs to be resolved accordingly. So the Pakistan Air Quality Experts Group came together. It includes physicians, it includes researchers, engineers, public administration officials, lawyers. You know, we decided that, you know, we've had a number of policies and plans already, but
yes,
very little progress. What can we do to highlight this issue and generate discussion around it? And then by reaching out to the Prime Minister, our aim was to address the key causes right now, because the air pollution is affecting us in a way whereby we really need to make an impact, mitigate the situation, but also in terms of the long-term solutions to this problem, because this won't be resolved in 1 or 2 years. It may take 5 to 10 years at least. And hence,
but there must have to be an indigenous solution to this problem, because this is direly needed, that we should have to come up with as a nation against the air pollution, because it is affecting everyone regardless of the age.
Exactly. And so what do those indigenous suggestions include? And because we know that London used to be affected by it, Los Angeles did, Beijing not so
yes, definitely.
in the distant
they are
past,
still fighting.
But they've brought in mechanisms whereby they're addressing it. That is through public transport, introducing better quality fuel. Our fuel quality is horrible. Our vehicles are not tested properly so that they can be
We'll discuss it later, and Punjab government has given a 16-point action plan as well. Let's see some of the important aspects of from Dr. FAHEEM. Dr. FAHEEM, what would be the ultimate impact of Punjab government's 16-point action plan to combat smoke or the air pollution, which includes continuous air pollution monitoring inspection, the vehicle fitness regime, replacing 20-year-old vehicles, then promote an efficient mass transit system, use of public transport, and strict laws in 36 districts and cities across Punjab? How do you see it?
Well, thank you, Faisal, taking me on board for this very grave issue and very concern of across the country nowadays. Unfortunately, this issue, as mentioned by Dr. SAQIB, this issue is not it's not new for this year as well. It has been since decades, almost a decade now. Coming back to the Punjab government's 16-point action plan to combat smoke, this has a huge potential to bring a positive impact, because I strongly believe in whatever the policies or interventions are actually devised, they are actually meant for the social reform and the well-being of the general public and also the environment. But the question is whether they have been truly implemented or not. So this is the area where we lack actually. So the implementation failure is actually where we stand right now today as well. So our issue is getting larger and larger. All these 16 action plans, they are actually, some of them are actually short-term goals, and most of them are actually the long-term goals. For instance, you can't you can't replace 20 years old vehicles at once from the roads, because there will be public cry over this. There will be a lot of other challenges to go for this. This kind of measures actually require a swift transition from going. But all these 16 action plan are actually, they are focusing on just our own pollution sources and our own actions. But this problem, unfortunately, we're living in a situation and in a region, we are living in a shared airshed, which actually, so this problem is not just the local problem, it's a regional problem. And unless there is a regional collaborative effort.
You have made a very excellent point that enforcement is the important and the implementation of the law. So how do you think that the enforcement of law will be ensured, especially when it comes to the black smoke emitting vehicles, then the polluting industries, the brick kilns, the burning of waste, tires and the plastic, particularly the crop residue and the staple burning, then dust emission, because there is a lot of construction going on in the cosmopolitan and metropolitan cities across Punjab. Open dumping of the municipal and the construction waste, improper waste management and the disposal in the What about the closing of markets at 8 p.m.? So how do you see overall scenario that how it is going to be implemented? Because implementation is the first phase, then you can get at least the results in a gradual period of time.
Well, Faisal, I will take you to one step further deep. So first, foremost thing is that actually our assessment is not adequate. It's not up to the mark, actually. We don't, this does not have a continuous monitoring system either. So whatever the action, whatever the measure we are going to devise, there could be underrated, they could be overrated as well. We are a resource constrained economy. We cannot afford such kind of things. So we have to first establish a rigorous monitoring system that and we have to go for the smart approach. So targeted approach, where we need and which quantity we need the action and the measures, we have to impose them. And of course, we are in the situation that whatever the action you take, whether it's a small, whether it's a bigger, it's going to make a difference. And definitely it's make a difference. It's going to make a huge difference. So as I mentioned earlier, so unless we did not have regional coordination, Pakistan cannot alone resolve its smog issue. It requires a coordinated effort, and I guess Punjab government have already taken an initiative to our Indian counterpart to join hand for this collaborative effort to combat the smog in the Indo-Gangetic plains or even the South Asian continent. That requires a lot of coordinated effort, and it's not going to resolve in like. The another important thing is that we need to avoid this reactionary approach. So we have to go for the long-term planning. We have to go for a sustainable governance. We have to go for sustainable measures and implementation plan that actually goes year-long. That we are well prepared for this. These episodes that's going to occur every post-monsoon season or October, November months, and even now it extends all the way to this the winter season as well.
Your point well taken, Dr. Faheem. Stay with us. We have online at phone line joining us Dr. KAMRAN, Muhammad KAMRAN. He is the pediatric surgeon. Most welcome to you, Dr. Muhammad KAMRAN. Thank you very much for sparing time because you have a family emergency, and thank you very much that you have spared some time out. My question is related to that. How do you see the lethal effects of the air pollution, as UNICEF alarmed that 600 million children in South Asia and 11 million in Pakistan are exposed to the high level of pollution? Half of the child pneumonia or pneumonia deaths are due to the air pollution. 1 out of 10 Pakistani children under 5 years of age dies because of the severe air pollution. Pregnant women, elderly people, and people with the vulnerabilities like asthma and all other, they are most vulnerable. So how do you see overall situation right now because of the smoke and air pollution?
First of all, I would like to apologize for not making to the studio.
No, it's okay.
Yes,
it's okay. No need to
it is
apologize.
a very huge concern for us because, health, education are the basic necessities of the life. The children who suffer from the suffocation due to smoke, they are getting affected by this whole bad environment that is leading to upper respiratory tract infections, and furthermore, it's leading to their stunted growth as well as some women who are pregnant and they expose this smoke, they give birth to premature babies. Those babies are very much to take the other respiratory problems when they are born. And as I actually agree with you that the old people who are already asthmatic, this kind of situation is further worsening for them. They have to, in a country like us, where people are from very low socioeconomic status, they have an additional burden of the buying medicine. They have additional burden of going to hospital. They can't afford. All of these things. The infantile mortality rate is very high in Pakistan. One of every five children dies due to respiratory tract infections. So we have to take this as a serious emergency situation. We have to make sure that this understand this is not a simple thing. We have to understand the volume of this problem. Then we
We
can
have to
take measures.
understand the volume, no doubt about that. Dr. Kamran, several studies reveal that in dry and the cold weather conditions, the atmosphere is always filled with pollutants, including the dust and the toxins. So, in such a condition, breathing in presence of the harmful substances, including the dense smoke and the chemical fumes, triggered acute respiratory distress syndrome. What do you think actually that how it is going to affect particularly the infants, the low-age children, particularly under 5, and then afterwards the people with vulnerabilities like asthma, cardio, or any other disease they have, the pulmonary disease?
Yes, sir. Actually, the pollutants have the tendency to go through the weaker tissues very swiftly. They affect these population which you have mentioned very badly, because these pollutants cross the alveoli, the least lowermost part of our respiratory tract infection, very quickly, and then go into bloodstream, and then circulates through whole blood and affects our whole body. Otherwise, if we are strong and we have very well immunity, then these pollutants may not affect through us in that way. Let me explain to you this. Once a child or an old age man or woman who is pregnant, she has her upper respiratory tract at risk of getting these toxins. These toxins enter into her lungs, and through lungs, the least part of the lungs is the alveoli, which are directly in contact with the blood. These toxins and those parts of the lung in these particular age groups and patients are inflamed, and inflamed tissues have a tendency to get the toxins absorbed very quickly. So the volume and the effect and the pathology caused by these similar amount of the toxicity in these populations more than the normal healthy population.
So, Dr. Kamran, how do you see, because these microplastics or the particulate matters has the tendency to absorb quickly into the blood streams and all that, and it is affecting because lots of complications happen. So, what you recommend actually, it is recommended that you should have to keep yourself indoor. Nebulizing is very important. Then the regular checkups or the chest X-rays particularly, that is important to avoid any sort of a medical complication and identification of the respiratory tract infection as well, because most infants, young children, elderly, pregnant, and asthma, cardio, or the past COVID-19 patients as well cannot maintain particularly the oxygenation level due to the lungs disinfection, or it is important that you have to be very familiar with the preparation of all those medical emergencies. So how do you see how to deal with a common man particularly who has no means to might be having medical checkup or regularly go to the hospitals?
Yeah, there are many measures that could be taken both at home and when you are outdoor. Particularly at home, you can have the plenty of liquids. Liquids have a tendency to help us get rid of these toxins through our urine. Ensure that you get a lot of liquids. This includes clear fluid like water, and like in this kind of weather, you can use the green tea. Other tea can help also. Furthermore, when you are going outside, you must wear a mask or take a helmet and go outside very whenever necessary, whenever it's most necessary. Don't make the children play outside unnecessarily until this situation improves. Otherwise, children are very prone to this. Don't make elderly go to do your home task. Let the healthy people should handle these groceries and other things. And furthermore, at the home you can keep a nebulizer machine that is not a very expensive. If you cannot afford that, just you can use hot steaming water inside your home and put some. There are some gels. You can put some gel in that and inhale itself. Furthermore, you have to make sure that your windows and all these sort of indoor window stays closed, and these kinds of measures can help you a lot.
Thank you very much, Dr. Mohammad Karman, for your precious time. Thank you very much. Dr. Imran, as it is very important that there is a 16-point action plan, no doubt, from the Punjab government, but we haven't seen any sort of a plan from the rest of the governments, number one. And the second is that why not to implement an electric vehicle policy, especially to replace the majority of 2, 3 or 4-wheelers by EV bikes, rickshaws, car and buses and all that. Provision of the low-cost electric vehicles at least 30% by 2025 and 100% by 2030. But it will require an estimated billions of rupees to implement these, because so how do you see this economic factor, the financial factor involved in this? Because Pakistan is already a struggling economy, and it's, Pakistan is trying hard to get out of this situation, but still we have a fragile economy. So how do you see overall situation?
So let's start with the policies and plans. So yes, the Punjab government does have a smog mitigation plan, and I hope they follow up on it for much longer duration. And if we can do that, hopefully.
By the way, Punjab government is very determined to follow this plan.
It does seem that way. But we've also had a Pakistan Clean Air program dating back to 2007 that was developed with the help of JICA. Last year we've developed a national clean air policy. So, and there's another one coming up. So we do have national level plans as well as local level plans. And if we follow up on them, we can make a difference. Now, as far as the vehicular pollution is concerned, that's only one part of it. So yes, you need to address the waste management issues. We need to work with the brick kilns to use much better fuel instead of using old tires, for example. We need to work with the farming communities so that they're not burning the stubble.
Definitely.
And then as far as the renewable vehicles is concerned, this is part of our nationally determined contributions as part of the Paris Climate Agreement as well. And it will, whenever there's a transition, it is a bit costly. But people are already spending money on two-stroke motorcycles. People are already spending money on diesel vehicles. So how can we incentivize them to utilize this the availability of electric vehicles? Secondly, we need to focus on implementing a plan whereby urban transport. We need to focus on buses. We need to public transport, right? There used to be a great deal of public transport across Pakistan, but now that's not there anymore. So one person is driving one car and they're emitting large amounts of emissions, and so that would need to happen. So it's sort of a collective effort.
So why Dr. Imran, why despite having ample scientific data and understanding of pollution patterns, governments are actually facing difficulties in curtailing the dangerously mounting air pollution? And this is not 1 or 2 days phenomena. This is happening from the last 2 decades actually.
Right.
So what's the reason behind the missing public-private cooperation, the citizens' behavior, the lack of access to the modern technologies, or financing, the transboundary non-cooperation, or any other factor? Because Dr. FAHEEM was rightly mentioning that it is not a country-specific phenomenon.
Exactly.
It is regional issue. And India is actually making the mimicry of unfortunate, very unfortunate, that Chief Minister Punjab Mariam Nawaz, she said and she urged that there should be having a dialogue on this air pollution thing and the smoke between the two countries. But unfortunately, from India, we are not getting good news, and even their media is playing drama. So how do you not think that it requires seriousness and a pragmatic approach?
It does. So all of these issues come down to governance. Collectively across South Asia, we haven't put environment and health and safety of our citizens at the same level as border security, for
Obviously.
example. Or the economic well-being. Now, India is a growing giant, so they've highly invested in that, but in terms of their health of the people,
these are the non-traditional, but the threats,
these threats remain, yes, and they've become the traditional threats. In fact,
obviously,
this is what we are facing. We aren't facing an enemy, but let me put it this way: if there was an enemy that came in and was causing mass casualties, would we respond in the same way as we've responded to the?
Because we have to respond it at war footing, because it is happening everywhere. Really.
We do. So and what Dr. Faheem had talked about was the airshed approach.
Yes.
So,
yes,
so airshed means that the political boundaries. So air pollution, when it's traveling from one part of the world to the another, it does not recognize political boundaries.
Obviously,
and so,
it is.
In the airshed, air moves around. Sometimes the pollution may be impacting India, and sometimes it may be impacting us. It might be impacting us now, given the scale of the issue. But the problem is that we aren't addressing some of the issues that we can. So stubble burning is still happening here. So even if India was to resolve its issues, what about our own?
Yes.
Right.
Definitely.
So here a collective approach is needed, whereby we do need to call out our partners across the world and build a cooperative mechanism. So government to government, university to university, hospital to hospital, and learn from each other, because the problem is very similar for people in Delhi, for people in Peshawar, and people in Islamabad.
Definitely, you are absolutely right. Dr. Faheem, industrial pollution, including the volatile organic compounds, what we call VOCs, the hazardous air pollutants, HAPs, the solid particulate matters, are harming actually the air quality overall. So why not to use some of the latest technologies like regenerative thermal oxidizers, catalytic oxidizers with rotary concentrators, and other green technologies to destroy pollutants within the industry before releasing them into the air or into the environment?
Well, there is no question about the credibility of that shifting to the new technology, which are relatively environment friendly and which have less emission footprints. But there are several challenges which are related to that. As you have rightly mentioned, that we are not we're not a big economy. We have several constraints on it, and we have a very limited industrial sector, and which is actually not thriving even well if you look around into your region as well. So putting some other pressures to that, transition to the cleaner technology is going to be a substantial challenge for them as well. And even it's going to be substantial challenge of governance for the government as well, because these kind of measures, they taken as a long-term measures. There is always a slow transition towards these technologies, and they are backed by always a lot amount of subsidies and financial incentives, regulatory supports for the volunteers companies, or the big giant companies, are as a part of social corporate social responsibility. And so there is no question about their contribution. They are going to resolve the issue, but it will take some time. It's not going to happen in one day or like in 1 year even. And
definitely, you're absolutely right. So how, Dr. Faheem, how municipal waste, municipal solid waste particularly, is actually contributed to air pollution, mostly because we face burning of the waste material, including the plastics, the batteries, the tires in open, in pits, or even through incinerators. So a huge source of most toxic outdoor pollution, especially when we are talking about the sulfur dioxide, the carbon monoxide, the mercury, lead dioxins, and the benzene, polychlorinated biphenyls, then of course polychlorinated aromatic hydrocarbons and the furans, and lots of others, and even when we are talking about chlorofluorocarbons and hydrocarbons and all others. So how do you see that a bunch of lots of toxic chemicals are in our atmosphere, and on the daily basis we are burning the wastes? So how do you see how we are going to tackle it, because we don't have waste to energy projects, we don't have any sort of a project which we can convert that waste into a or recycling system over here. So how do you see how we can tackle it?
This is exactly like the other sectors they are contributing in the pollution. So the municipal solid waste or solid waste management issue is again another challenge, which is also equally contributing to the smog issue which we are experiencing right now, and even the air quality challenges which are throughout the year. That's the thing. So because we does not have a articulated or proper managed solid waste system across the countries, we have very limited capacity in some big cities. And it's just like through the vendors or through the street handlers or it's sort of a public-private partnership, but it's even not catering the needs of the waste generated on daily basis in the big cities. And the smaller cities, there is actually they are not existing at all. So we are dumping our solid waste openly, and because of the higher fuel prices and the energy prices recently in the country, so they make it more vulnerable. Actions like the people used to go for the trash burning, for space heating or for some other biomass burning activity. So that's going, it's equally contributing to this challenge, and they're contributing to the smog as well. So basically, we need to go for the long-term planning. We need to develop the infrastructure. We need to strengthen the stakeholders involved, especially the public-private partnership, extend to all the 36 districts of Punjab, if you ask, or even across the country, I would say.
Absolutely right. Absolutely right, Dr. Faheem. Well described, because Pakistan has the capacity and has the will to do it. Whenever it happens, whole of the nation always get united to do that, and we can do it, but require a real-time political will to do that, and inshallah we'll do it. Dr. Imran, why not to have a crop residue management through at least the shredders like rotavators and the straw choppers in the farmlands, and use them as fertilizer even, rather than just burning them, because we can use the enriched organic fertilizers, the manure or the compost, rather added chemicals as that easily available from the livestock, from the fruits, vegetables and the crop residue waste, because on that front we are also clearing the waste when we are making some sort of a compost or manure or the organic fertilizer. So that improves actually the soil quality and the crop quality and yield as well. Reduce the nitrogen and the methane emissions, and even in some cases the ammonia emissions as well. So how do you see, why not we reuse and recycle?
I think these are some excellent suggestions, and they can be and they should be implemented. One of the reasons we haven't been able to make progress in this regard is that the farmers are quite heavily entrenched into their practice. The practice of stubble burning has been going on for decades across the region. So somebody coming in from the outside and saying, we'll find you if you don't do that, obviously they won't adapt as quickly as is needed, because they don't understand this, the issue as well as perhaps a scientist would. So here, going and talking to them and working with them to move towards this would really make a difference. One of the suggestions a colleague recently made was that the government should think about buying the stubble from the farmers. I mean, it might be a good incentive. They're burning the residue anyways. Tell them that the government is going to take it away for you for a certain price. It might be good enough that they, they're not going to utilize it. The government can then work with the farmers in terms of turning it into fertilizer or turning it into a feed. So we really have to think out of the box in terms of the solutions.
Because when we are talking about it affecting the economy as well, but we have to think about it that if we require financial aspects for that, but 6.5% to the GDP, we are losing it.
It's already costing us.
Why not to utilize that in a right way to just get away from this air pollution? So I think why not, Dr. Imran, to adopt climate smart and resilient cities regime, including the carbon offsetting, the plantation or afforestation, because we are losing 27,000 hectares every year, unfortunately. Solarization, the biodiversity conservation and protection plans for the cities, the green industries, mandatory implementation of the environmental management plans, in all construction projects with prior environmental impact assessment or the strategic environmental impact assessment, with strict air quality and environmental monitoring regime must in place across Pakistan. We have to do it, because otherwise we'll always face a worst kind of air pollution or the smoke-like situation.
Exactly, and so the suggestions that you just made vis-a-vis the strategic environmental assessment or developing a green plan for our urban areas, that will not only address the smog situation or air pollution, but it will also address urban flooding. It will also address the urban heat island effect, as we were discussing earlier.
Obviously.
So Pakistan is working towards a climatic strategy whereby we can become more resilient. And so you've put down a cost as far as the air pollution figures are concerned. Climate change is costing us a lot more. So if we collectively worked on this, the costs via climate change, via air pollution, via other environmental issues, you know, they're so great that we can highly limit them through such interventions.
Definitely, your point well taken. Dr. Faheem, do you not think that at the federal and provincial level, the governments must have to allocate sufficient climate funding, the plantation or afforestation in their budgets now, if they intend to fight the war against the pollution and through the citizen intensive or inclusive approach to completely wipe out all kinds of pollutions for healthy and the safe environment? I'm not talking about limit myself to the air pollution, but also to the municipal waste pollution like water pollution and all other kinds of pollution which we are confronting right now.
Yes, definitely. That's going to make a huge contribution. So it's going to be like a win-win situation for not just the air quality, but also for the climate mitigation aspects as well. So just before I give you some further insight about this, I would like to add what you were talking about previously with Dr. Imran. So we recently actually conducted a study of decarbonization of cement sector in Pakistan at NUST. And to our surprise, we came to know about that if our just cement sector, which has a huge urge and willingness to opt to this crop residue burning as an alternative fuel, so it's going to reduce the 30 to 35% coal dependency, avoiding coal dependency. Then it will also avoid the revenue we put in to buy the coal, imported coal. And it will also lower at least 30% the greenhouse gas and other air pollutant emissions as well. So it's a win-win situation for the industry, for the environment, for the government. Even we can claim for further the carbon credits out of that, but going this alternative solutions. So this is like kind of a big example, it's a low-hanging fruit that can be done. So by utilizing subtle this crop residue
Dr. Faheem,
in the industry.
your point well taken. Unfortunately, we have run short of time. Very brief, Dr. Imran. When citizens will play their crucial role, because governments can't do alone. So to effectively fight the air pollution, because majority not contributing to an environment friendly atmosphere, unfortunately, like those having cars not ready to use one, those having smoky vehicles not intend to get it into the order, majority not preferring bicycle or the public transport, even industries not adhering law and not converting into the green. So what's the role, because very crucial role the people of Pakistan has, how we can urge them to go on with the green environment, environment-friendly activities?
I think this will happen if our governance structures are strengthened. So that means, you know, having a system in place whereby people can respond to it. So if you do not have a speed limit on the motorway, people will go as fast as they can. We've had a number of casualties on the salt range, but then the government came in with a plan and now people are implementing it. People slow down, the buses slow down, there's a convoy. So all of these things happen because there is a policy in place. Unfortunately, we haven't had a policy that the people can follow. People are the victims here. Let's put that down. We need to enhance the capacity of our environmental departments. We need to provide them with technical facilities so that they can monitor the air all around us. We need to provide them with the capacity to understand the problems and respond to them at the local level.
And as a nation, we have to tackle this issue because this is the national issue and we have to fight with this issue. Thank you very much, Dr. Imran, for being with us in the studios and very candid views. Thank you very much, Dr. Faheem, for being with us online and very elaborative views. Thank you very much. So nice of you for joining us. And we are thankful to Dr. KAMRAN, the pediatric surgeon as well, that he also contributed well. Viewers, as you have just listened to our panelists, it is important that we have to just follow the sustainable development policy and the action plan, like 16 points action plan by the government of Punjab, that is excellent, but the implementation is very important and we have to be well prepared on that. We have to go for the incentivize our plans to attract people towards the environment friendly activities. We have to, when Dr. Faheem, Dr. KAMRAN was saying rightly that we have to keep indoor, we have to close our windows, we have to use the precautionary measures, that boiled water, warm water, and also we have have to take more fluids, water particularly, and we have to use a face mask at least to avoid any sort of eventuality, medical eventuality. And when we are talking about how to prepare ourselves regarding the air pollution, United Nations Environmental Programme urges that the world to address air pollution by living 4 Rs, that is, reduce, recycle, reuse and recover. Planting more and more trees as a mature tree can absorb approximately 25 kg of the carbon dioxide per year. So we have to go for electric vehicles, say no to the fossil fuels, using public transport, walking and cycling. The best option that we have to rely upon the renewable energy, other green and clean technologies, while burning less, wasting less, driving less could be the viable option to even avoid any sort of air pollution. And the government and citizen have to join hands for clear and green environment, not only for us today, but for the future generations. This is all from today's Foresight. It's time to sign off. Allah Hafiz.